You can see this period depicted in the old movie The Last Emperor, which tells the story of Puyi's time in the Forbidden City. His memory retained a vivid impression of the color yellow. From his childhood, deeply impacted by the intensity colors left on young minds. He felt surrounded by yellow in everything, as seen in the opening scenes of The Last Emperor, with roofs adorned in yellow glazed tiles. He said, "Whenever I recall my childhood, a layer of yellow surfaces in my mind. The yellow glazed tile roofs, the yellow sedan chairs, the yellow cushions, the linings of clothes and hats, the belts around the waist, the porcelain bowls and plates for meals and tea, the cotton covers of rice pots, the leather bindings of book wrappings, curtains, reins. Everything was yellow. This exclusive, so-called bright yellow color embedded a sense of, I alone am supreme, into my heart from an early age, giving me a unique sense of identity. He always felt different from others because only he could use this shade of yellow. He remembered one incident from his childhood when his younger brother, Puyi, came to play at the palace. He noticed a bright yellow fabric inside his brother's sleeve and immediately became angry. Puyi was frightened and knelt down. Puyi said, "You cannot use this color," as bright yellow was a color reserved exclusively for the emperor. We haven't seen the life inside the palace. At most, we've read Dream of the Red Chamber. Puyi describes that when Jia Zheng's mother went out in Dream of the Red Chamber, she was surrounded by many people, but compared to when the emperor went out, it was far less grand. Let's take a look at the emperor's entourage. Every time he went out, there was a large procession. If he went to the summer palace, there would be a fleet of cars. He said, when walking in the palace, at the forefront was a eunuch from the Hall of Respectful Service, whose role was akin to a car horn, occasionally uttering chi-chi sounds, meaning make way. Following them by 20 to 30 paces were two chief eunuchs, walking like duck and goose along the sides of the road. About 10 steps behind them was the center of the procession, either me or the Empress Dowager. If I was in a sedan chair, a eunuch was on each side, holding the poles of the chair to attend to me at any moment. If walking, they supported me, even though my legs were healthy. They still assisted. In the rear, there was a eunuch holding a large parasol, followed closely by a large group of eunuchs carrying various items or nothing at all. Some carried stools for resting, others carried clothes for adjusting to weather or temperature changes, and there were those holding umbrellas, both for rain and sunshine. Behind these attendants were the eunuchs from the imperial tea room, bearing several food boxes filled with assorted snacks and tea, along with essential items like hot water kettles and tea sets. Further back were eunuchs from the imperial pharmacy, carrying shoulder poles loaded with various standby and emergency medicines, including wick water, chrysanthemum water, reed root water, bamboo leaf water, bamboo shaving water. In summer, there were always Huaxiang Zhengqi pills, Liu He Dingzhong pills, Jinyin Kushudan, Wanying Ding, Sha medicine, and Biwen San, not to mention the year-round sanxian drink for digestion and so on. At the very end were eunuchs carrying large and small chamber pots. What shocked me the most was that whenever the emperor went out, there was always someone carrying a chamber pot trailing behind him. It was outrageous. There would be a huge entourage everywhere he went. But Puyi was just a kid, so he would often mess around. In the procession, he would sprint forward, slam on the brakes, or suddenly turn, causing all the eunuchs to stumble and the whole procession to wobble. It was chaos. And when he learned to ride a bicycle, it got even worse. He insisted on having all the thresholds sawed off in the palace. Those thresholds were really high, trust me. Even today they're a hassle to step over. So he could ride his bike everywhere. The eunuchs were driven crazy by him. Then there's this funny bit about meals. Every time Puyi wanted to eat, he'd shout, "Chuan Shan, serve the meal." After that, the eunuchs would shout it out one by one, "Chuan Shan, Chuan Shan, Chuan Shan." It was like a human walkie-talkie system, all the way to the imperial kitchen. The food would be all prepared and ready there, so as soon as he finished shouting, "Chuan Shan," the dishes would be right in front of him. How were they laid out? There were 3 tables of dishes, 3 tables of various desserts, rice dishes, and porridge, plus a small table of pickled vegetables. The utensils were porcelain, engraved with dragons in bright yellow, with the inscription, "Longevity without boundaries." In winter, they used silverware, placed on porcelain jars filled with hot water. Each plate or bowl had a silver tag to guard against poisoning. Empress Dowager Longyu had about 100 different dishes per meal, displayed on 6 dining tables. He even listed the menu, but I won't go through it. You know what really amazed me? He never touched any of that food. 6 tables of food every meal, and he never touched a thing because the food from the imperial kitchen wasn't good. It was just prepared half-cooked and heated up for him because they always had to be ready to chuan shan at any moment. So Puyi never ate any of those dishes. What did he eat then? I actually ate the dishes sent by the Empress Dowager at each meal. After she passed away, they were sent by the 4 consorts. There were always about 20 dishes in front of me. The dishes from the imperial kitchen were just put to the side for show. The real good food was made in the separate kitchens of the Empress Dowager, or the consorts, where the top chefs worked. They really lived in luxury, consuming the best of everything. It's mind-boggling. The emperor's life was probably something like that.